Hey there. Welcome to the Flute 360 podcast. I'm Dr. Heidi K. Begay, and I'm a flutist, educator, coach, and podcaster. My God-given mission is to serve you. I am passionate about guiding you, the modern-day flutist, to discover your unique voice on and off the stage. The goal of this podcast is to help you thrive, both as an artist and as a musicpreneur. Go ahead and grab your espresso, your favorite notepad, and let's get to it. Today's episode is episode 327, and it's titled, Stop Blending In. Be the flutist everyone remembers, Part 9. Hey there, Flute 360er. I want to share something with you real quick. A flutist I recently worked with had been stuck for months, torn between growing her studio, launching a concert series, or recording the album she'd been dreaming about for years. She didn't need a massive course or more theory. She needed clarity, a sounding board, a spark. That's what the Flute 360 coaching bundle is. It's a space where I meet you exactly where you are, and together we build your next chapter. You won't get a laundry list of downloads. You'll get only what you need. That could mean a plug-and-play studio email to help you fill your teaching roster, a custom outline for a grant or workshop, a launch checklist to finally move your course idea forward. Everything is tailored to your journey. There are only 10 coaching spots available for this spring and summer. If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and start making meaningful progress, I'd be honored to walk with you. Click the link in the show notes and let's begin. Hey there, Flute 360er. Thank you so much for coming along this 9-part podcast series with me. As we are wrapping up this wonderful series, I'm thinking of you, the Flute 360er, in mind. I can't tell you how many amazing DMs I get from you stating, hey, Heidi, I have all the ideas in the world, but I don't know where to start. And then once I get started, I don't have a plan. I don't know how to execute and structure this. Then when you get further into the weeds, you're letting imposter syndrome and perfectionism kill your creative projects, and then they never get out and they never get released out into the world. So I see you. This series is for you. This series is for you to know that we're coming alongside you and lovingly holding your hand and saying, you got this. You have value. You have worth. Let your light shine because your people are waiting for their transformation from what you have to offer. So if you have not heard this entire 9-part series, I would definitely go back to the first 7 parts where I break down this system and I break down this creative journey for you in bite-sized pieces. These last 2 parts to this series, part 8 and part 9, Eric and I are giving you a sneak peek into our Begay household world. We're showing you how we create. We're showing you how we are structuring things so you can see that you're not alone. And possibly along the way, we are giving you amazing new nuggets and new ideas so you can start implementing them into your schedule and creative routine right off the bat. So this information is for you, and I want you to really and truly pull out a notebook, pull out the Microsoft Word document, take down notes because I want to see you flourish. And hopefully these stories and a backstage pass into our world with Eric and I gives you a glimpse of, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. Oh my gosh, these are the things that they're struggling with too, to some degree, but this is how they are overcoming these creative hurdles. So I know that I can do the same. I can overcome these hurdles too, with some new creative and innovative ideas. So thank you for being here. And we are going to unpack a little bit more into the creative process with today's stories in part 9. So yesterday we were talking about structure. We were talking about a time frame. We were talking about a calendar. We're talking about a plan. And Eric was really lovingly showcasing you how we've started implementing the Benjamin Franklin schedule routine into our daily and weekly habits. By doing this, we're showing up different. By doing this, we are sculpting out more time for our business, for our creations, and for our musical endeavors. So I just wanted to give you a lay of the land of what we talked about yesterday, because if you're popping into part 9, you may be a little lost and clueless and like, where the heck are they? So yesterday we talked about time, structuring it, and not structuring it in a way where it feels rigid and gross and not fun, but in a way where when you have those guardrails up, then within those parameters, you can let your hair down. You can be creative. You can paint with colors. You can be more free and have that freedom in your creative endeavors because there's structure, because there's a plan, and then you know exactly what you're focusing in on, doubling down on, and then following through with the execution. So I know that was a long-winded introduction, but I just wanted to give you a lay of the land and paint this picture for you because I don't want you lost. I want you to know exactly where we are. So that way, when we pull that arrow back and really release it, we're releasing it towards your specific creative target and nailing that arrow right into the bullseye. So you feel like you are getting things done and you are making massive strides towards your creative goals. So with all that being said, thank you, Eric, so much for being here. And because we talked about structure yesterday and how there's freedom in structure, now let's kind of pull back the veil just a little bit more and dive in deep into the creative journey where maybe imposter syndrome or perfectionism gets in the way. So what's amazing is what I've noticed is a lot of people say, well, I don't have time for an extra hour of my day for strategy. Well, I'm saying this with all the love in the world, friend. You don't have time not to. And the reason why I know this is because the minute Eric and I have carved out an hour in the morning, first thing before clients, before students come to the door, we are sitting down and creating a strategy. We are creating where we want to be. And by doing that, we have a game plan on paper, pen to paper, of how we are going to bring our creations to life. Whether it's a course, whether it's a lead magnet, whether it's Eric recording and doing more live sound gigs for bands in the Dallas area, how I can help my flutists record their music and bring their creations to life. We are able to get on the same page to say, what are the creations we want to make? How are we going to do it? What's the strategy? And then how are we going to execute it to actually finalize the thing and put it out into the world? So within this structure, there's a lot of freedom. So I would encourage you to carve out time for strategy. And because Eric and I are strategizing in these meetings every day, we are able to create more. So Eric, can you tell the Flute 360er what we are creating more of in the evenings and what we're doing in this particular season and how it's really helped you as a musician and as a creative artist and as a business owner feel fulfilled, if applicable, to the creations that we're actually putting together as a couple and what we're putting out into the world? How does that make you feel, and what are the benefits that you're seeing from these strategizing meetings that we're doing from 9 to 10?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, it is.
I like the structure of time that we talked about last episode and how within that we're able to be more creative. It allows us more time to reflect on some things that we can improve on. So in our case, we decided that we wanted to learn how to run ads. And we took the time, we created time to make time to do this.
Yeah.
And then and we went down a rabbit hole with that because we learned that we needed to do other things for the business as well. And they were important things. There were fundamental things that all businesses need to do. So we're like, okay, we need to move the website to another kind of system. and then learn all these systems and recategorize these systems to work for us. And I'm talking like this because their calendars, their emails, their fundamental things of how to communicate, the CRM, all these things that we have to start working with. That gave us back a lot of time. So when you structure your time in a way that you are accounting for every hour, every minute, you create time to do these things. The one thing that I have to get over, though, is for so long, I like to do what I like to do. I like to make sure that I take care of my clients first. I like to make sure that we know that that's going to happen. But the thing I had to get away from is I had to create time to do this. And being creative and being a CEO and or wearing that hat, I should say, you have to be responsible this way as well. So it means creative wise, it's a big responsibility to say, okay, I'm going to have to squeeze my work time into this area and then work on the business time in this area. And creativity for that is also being disciplined around it too.
I love that. So what I'm hearing you say is like realizing, like carving out time to work in the business and on the business.
Right.
And so let's peel back this onion just a little bit more, because I can hear my Flute 360 saying, yeah, again, that's great, you guys. That's great, Heidi and Eric, but this does not pertain to me. Soapbox, it does pertain to you. You are playing beautiful music. You have amazing ideas for concert gigs, building out your flute studio, courses, memberships, things like that. You are an educator. You are a performer. You're really good with that. So Eric, like, can you speak to, because I don't know if you guys know this, but Eric's a guitarist. He's a songwriter. He records his own music. That's how we met, was music theory in college, junior year, back in 2005. And we're going to be celebrating very soon, Eric and I being married for 17 years and knowing each other and being together for 20 years. And so it feels like yesterday that I just met this goober in Tucson, Arizona, and here we are running multiple businesses together. So I want you to know that Eric knows your world, and that's why he's here, is because not only is he married to one crazy flutist, but he's also a musician in his own right. And so let's peel back that onion just a little bit more, Eric, because people are hearing you say CRM and websites, and that could be daunting. And I don't want this to be daunting at all. So as this flutist, you are not just this performer, artiste, teacher, but you sitting in that CEO chair is oh so important. So if somebody is stuck, Eric, with like, oh my gosh, they're talking about websites and, website hosting platforms, CRMs, that's not for me. I know we're encouraging them to start thinking that way for their creations. So when you were pivoting from being, I'm just saying this with air quotes, with being just an audio engineer, you were putting out your creations and you were doing that for a long time. But I know you and I know your path, and also you being a songwriter, you were putting out, air quote, and I'm saying this with all the love in the world, just your songs, which is a big deal, because if you are writing your own songs, arranging and composing, that's a craft in of itself. But what ends up happening, Eric, like I know like you had that pivot of that mindset shift of, oh, I'm not just an audio engineer. Oh, I'm not just a composer. Oh, I'm not just an arranger. That's great and all, but if I don't think businessly, then my creations will just sit on my digital bookshelf.
Right.
And so what can help the Flute 360 or have that paradigm shift to see themselves in both ways? And just because they see and start seeing themselves as a flutepreneur,
right,
empower them and give them any advice that you went on in your journey in terms of how that does not diminish their artistry, that does not diminish them being a flute teacher, a performer, but if anything, it enhances it.
Right. I understand totally what you mean. In my situation, and maybe you could see it for yourself this way, I wanted to go down a certain road, but I had to make plans because of life. Life happens. I had to find other ways to make things happen too. So And of course, we all need money to survive. And I had to find ways to earn money. So audio engineering was probably one of the fastest way to do this that I learned, because people don't hone that skill. I had a little bit of that skill and I used that to my advantage to create podcasts, to record music, to run live sound in all kinds of situations, like the church situation, bands that come. So I learned to just put myself in those positions, and I did that in all kinds of creative ways. I put ads on Craigslist.
Mm-hmm.
I subscribed to Gig Salad to create a kind of a place where people can find me and my business. And people like to work with people, but people also like to work with a name. So I had to create a business name for that, and I market it that way in Gig Salad, saying that we're JK Productions, we do live sound. Create a logo. It looks attractive. It looks like something larger than life, but all I am is just one guy hauling audio equipment and setting up audio equipment and running live sound for bands or church, and church situation is different because that's more, I don't want to be disrespectful, but it's more of a commercial setting too, because the churches are a business in a way. So that production's much, much different. It is a bigger production. There's a lot of things involved. You're working with other professionals in the area. So being creative with your talents means finding another doorway to use your skill to your advantage. So for me, it was, how can I make money and how can I support my wife? How can I put a roof over my head? I can still be a musician doing live sound too, because I give musical feedback. I can still be a guitar player because I have to help guitar players set up their amplifiers and get their tone, which is my favorite thing to do. And I still get to be a musician, even though I'm pushing buttons and I'm listening for things. I get to be a musician in a whole different way. And it's very, very fulfilling for me. I'm very excited to do that because my dream was to be a guitar player. That's all I wanted to do. But life happens, and sometimes it doesn't work out that way. But I mean, I get to still do it in a different way and be around other great musicians and have all kinds of connections too. So it's multifaceted. If you're a musician and you hone these talents, figure out how you can implement these other ways of making money and go down these avenues to explore them, and then you grow the ones that work for you.
Yep, you double down what you see is working. I love that.
And it was difficult because I had to invest money in equipment too. It was difficult because I had to find ways to do more gigs so I could afford more equipment so I could be hired for bigger things too. And that's a scary thing to do. Because you're like, I don't know if this is going to work. But luckily, the sound business is great during the summer, which is great because the podcasting slows down a little bit, which means the music stuff will pick up, which kind of balance things out. And one thing that I remember was I took an audio engineer to lunch one time. He just said, I do multiple different things. I build websites. I record people. I record albums. I'm a musician in the background. I do these other things. And I'm like, he said, being a musician means being multi-talented in different areas and putting all those skills together to make your life, to put a roof over your head, to be able to support yourself. And it is true. Like when you decide to pick up an instrument, you have to even more recently, I don't mean to change the subject really, I started teaching guitar again. So I'm a guitar teacher as well. So I get to have a student come to the home and learn guitar, and that's gonna probably grow. Who knows? It might grow. It might not grow. It might just stay where it's at. But I'm open to that idea too. So all that is to say is you have to be open-minded to trying a different doorway to your talent. And if it's not just that one thing that you have your mind on, and let's say it's one particular kind of job, that might not happen right away. It could happen. Don't give up hope on that. But try it from a different angle. Maybe there's another way that you could help yourself, you know, and still be a musician, still be the musician that you are and still hone those skills. Don't give up your chops. Like I do it every day. I mean, I still plug in my Stratocaster and I wail on blues licks all day long and I go right back to work.
And you get to play with bands in the area.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go out to Fort Worth even, which is a good like hour and a half drive west to where we are. And you jam with your friends there. And when you're at these networking events, air quote, I'm saying networking events with a grain of salt. Eric was talking about networking and how his orbit has expanded because his audio work has veered him into helping bands. But when he's at these gigs and helping with live sound, he's meeting the realtors, he's meeting these bankers, he's meeting these financial experts, talk to them. Oh, hey, dude, come and play with me at this Thursday night at this club. I want, you to be backup to me. Sometimes it works in your schedule, sometimes it doesn't. But these music opportunities are coming to fruition from an avenue that you initially thought wouldn't give you those opportunities. Like you think, oh, I'm here to help a band with supporting them with live sound. And you're using your music skills in that capacity to help out Dingus, to help out those bands at the BJ restaurant that you do in Fort Worth. And you're there supporting them, making them sound great. And then while you're there, you get to chit chat. While you're there, you're forming relationships. While you're there, these conversations open and this banker says, oh yeah, dude, I live in that area. Let's jam together. And then full circle, you have more playing buddy friends from you being there and showing up and talking, and then more opportunities unfold.
Right. Here's a good example. I do events besides just supporting bands. I do events like comedy events. One was a comedy event at a restaurant. And there was these comedians who came to the restaurant and I set up sound equipment and I was just controlling the mic and controlling music, kind of like a DJ. But they also needed lights. So the guy who hired me said, do you know anybody? He goes, do you do lights? I was like, no, I don't do lights. I just something I don't own yet. And he said, okay, do you know anybody? I said, yes, I do. I actually work with somebody who does live streaming and lights. And he's an audio engineer as well. Let's go talk to him. They called him up and we had this big old collaboration. And now we are the two people that he calls every summer to go help him because I knew somebody who knew somebody to go help out in this area. So there is bigger collaboration. Now, Raph, who does lights, he may say, hey, Eric, one of these days there's an audio gig I can't do. Can you do this gig for me? Just like one day I called Raph and said, I can't do live sound because my cat's dying. Can you take over? Yeah. And he found somebody to fill in.
So yesterday we talked about cats peeing, and then today we're talking about cats dying.
It wasn't him that filled in, but he knew somebody to help my people that I needed, that I had to drop the ball on. I said, I can't make it to this gig. My cat's dying. I'm sorry. And then they're like, do you know anybody? I'm like, yes, I do. Here you go. Here's a list. So the collaboration opens up, which means it comes right around back to you. And it will support you again that way. It is kind of a scary world, but once you dip your toe in there and next thing you know, you're submerged into it, you'll realize that there's really nothing to be afraid of. The relationships that you make and make these connections with, they are about support. Yeah. So if you have fear around that, try it out in small ways and you'll learn that you can start to trust people if you build the right relationships and you build them in the right way. It took a lot of hours and time working around certain people where you know you can trust them too. So it's a matter of working with others as well and collaborating.
I love all of that. And going back to your former dumping of amazing gold nuggets earlier, you unpacked a lot. And I just want to highlight real quick so people know where we are. You're talking about how do I package myself? So branding. How do I put myself out there? How do I find these opportunities as a musician? I have these skills. I'm not getting through this one particular door, but how can I get through the window? How can I go through the back way? How can I go through the garage door? And then when you're there, you network, you build relationships, and more opportunities bloom. Yeah. So in as a summary, that's what I'm hearing. And there's a lot. I mean, we could literally pick one of those topics and talk about that in of itself for hours.
Right.
Because there's so many layers to it. But we're giving you guys this broad stroke on the canvas of going, look at beginning, middle to end. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. It may look a little different, but it's possible. And if anything, it's actually more possible that way because it's your unique path.
Right.
It's your unique skill set. It's your unique way of how you show up. And those unique opportunities will then appear, even though it doesn't look like Jane or Joe's.
Right, right.
But you don't want it to.
No.
You want to have your own orbit. You want to have your own community. You want to have your own gifts and talents that you get to package up in such a unique thumbprint way where people then, when you put yourself out there in the world, they recognize that thumbprint. They recognize that unique snowflake and they say, oh, I can specifically see myself working with Eric in this way because of our conversations, because of the relationship that we've built together. Right. Was there something that I said? Because I saw the wheels in your head turning.
Oh, no. You know me too well. So in that, this is one thing that is unique about me is I'm a major introvert.
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of person to go out there and market myself and say, hey, hello, and go up to a stranger and shake their hands and say, Eric, this is what I do. I'm great at these things. I am wonderful. I am spectacular at these things. I'm not the kind of person to do that. I'm very reserved. In fact, I am so reserved that I almost come off shy and stutter when I meet new people. But that has also worked in my advantage because people don't like to work with some kinds of people who are very much in your face with their talents as well. And the people that I tend to work with always come to me and say, hey, I can always approach you because you seem like you don't have a lot on your mind. I can always come to you and talk to you about some things and suggest things that we could do. And you're always open to them. Mm-hmm. And I just want somebody to realize that if you're like that, if you're like me and you're not that kind of person to be like the go-getter out there and pushing yourself out in front of all these, it's still possible. You know?
Yeah.
It's still possible to create a wonderful life and a wonderful business for yourself this way. I mean, having those kind of characteristics about you. And I've grown to get out of my shell in certain ways that are just enough to make things work for me too. So if you have that as a characteristics about yourself that you think will hinder you, don't worry about that. They get better as you keep doing them, as you keep marching forward and trying to build out your business or build out your flute studio, your teaching academy. I don't think you have to be a bubbly extrovert to have a wonderful business or wonderful life too. You can still be as meek as a mouse and reserved as I am to make that work for you. That's all I wanted to say.
No, I love that. And I'm glad that you're very open and vulnerable to show that side to you, to the listener, because I'm sure there's got to at least be one person who resonates with your story. And they're like, that's me. Because they know me and they know that I'm fire and they know that I'm like in your face and social butterfly. And they're like, yeah, Heidi, that's great for you. That's easy for you because that's just who you are. You're Mrs. Chatterbox. But I'm not that. Eric just showed you the other side of me. My better half is water. He's cool as a cucumber. He's meek as a mouse. But he's still building businesses and doing it well by what he just said. He's still being authentic to himself. Now, I want to, as the teacher in me, I just want to clue in and highlight something he said. Over time, I have built the skill to network, to come out of my shell just enough to shake somebody's hand, to open up my mouth and start up a conversation. So don't hear Eric and think and take his words and go the opposite direction and say, well, Eric said I could be meek as a mouse and not really show up. These opportunities will just come to me. No. What he said was he's still showing up in his very authentic, quiet, introvert self, but he's learned the skills over time to say, okay, I can still be me and show up authentically, but I still need to show up. Right. I still need to go, even though it's a little uncomfortable, I still need to open up my mouth and talk about what I do to some capacity in my own style. And by doing that, then people are like, oh, I'm attracted and I want to work specifically with Eric, because that skill set of him being a good listener works to his advantage when he's behind the microphone. I've watched it firsthand for the last 20 years. Eric thought that, with his audio engineering skills, he was going to be recording jazz, rock, and blues artists for the rest of his life. Come to find out, most of his recording gigs are, like these grunge bands and pop bands and things like that, which is really cool. But a good chunk of his recording income is recording flutists. Why? Because he's married to a flutist. And when people like you find out and you become friends with me, you're like, well, it would only make sense for me to record with an audio engineer who knows flute, because duh, that's the obvious. So when you guys are behind the microphone recording for festivals, master classes, grad school, auditions, and things like that, you're hiring Eric. And what ends up happening is his nice, sweet, meek mouse presence works in his favor, and you guys are super comfortable behind the microphone with him because he's not in your face, because he's listening and he's coaching you along the way in very subtle ways of not being explosive, letting you do your thing, letting you shine, and just giving you like small little tweaks and coaching tips along the way to make the recording that much better. So all that's to say is your authenticity, you being genuine, you being yourself, no matter what, whether it's at a networking event or the event that you're hired to do, being your authentic self will serve you well, because like what Eric just said, the right people will be attracted to that vibe. They'll be attracted to that style. So you don't have to be fire if you're water. You don't have to be water if you're fire. So these skills are learnable. Just like your scales, etudes, seventh chords, arpeggios, you can learn to network. You can learn to hone these skills in your own unique way and style in order to flourish and in order to grow. So I love that you showcase that side of, hey, this is me, and yet it still works.
Yeah. I wouldn't try to be somebody I'm not if I couldn't pull it off.
Yeah. You would be horrible at that.
They say fake it and make it, but there is a little bit of...
I know what you mean. Like, you can't, fake it till you make it in the sense of like, if going on stage kind of is overwhelming, we'll pretend that you are somebody who likes to go on stage.
Right.
But with this fine understanding of still show up as yourself.
Right. Exactly.
Because then people can read that inauthenticity from a mile away. Uh-huh. They're like, wait, I'm not vibing. I'm not connecting with this person. Why is that? Oh, it may be because you're faking it a little too much.
Probably so. Yeah.
But I love all that. I love you unpacking that. And I love you showcasing that side of, here I am as a musician. I showed up in this way. I developed these skills, and I found ways to package myself in different bundles in order to make it work. And that brings it back to this point that we've kind of hinted at, but then now I get to bottom line it for y'all. And that is multiple streams of income. It's good to have live sound, church opportunities to do live sound during their services, recording flutists, recording podcasters, editing audio, editing video, all these skills that you learned as a musician, as a guitarist for your own songs. You get to do that, play with bands, but now those skill sets can be expanded and explored through different income streams.
Right.
The wealthy have up to 7 income streams, if not more, because what Eric said earlier, sometimes the summer will dip. We know that as flute teachers, our flute studio numbers will go down because kids are on vacation, they're taking summer camps, their family is away. So what are you going to do during those 3 months? What other income streams are going to fluctuate in your favor where they can take over during that season? And then maybe the tide goes back down again. It comes back up like a roller coaster. So if you have different options of how to use your skill sets in different capacities, then you're going to be well supported financially because these things are in place and you've thought of the opportunities for yourself during different seasons, when things may go up or down during the summer or different months.
Right. I think one thing to round this off, though, is it's all about yourself, who you are. You have to believe in your ability first. You have to know that it's possible and make that jump. Because if you don't believe in yourself, you're going to have some troubles getting over that. And I think, yes, you can learn all the business tools out there. You can learn all these pieces of software that you use to run a business. Those are learnable. You can take a class on Udemy on how to run ads or run anything. You can learn it on YouTube for free. You can do all these things. But the biggest thing, the biggest hurdle that we have to get over is, are we actually capable of it? And once you believe that you can and you are going to do this, then there's no stopping you. You'll figure out a way. You'll figure out. I mean, there was a time I had to work multiple jobs in order to make this happen.
Yeah.
To make this work.
Target, Berkshire's,
everything.
You name it.
Right.
We've seen it all.
I was getting very, very minimal sleep.
Yeah.
But it worked. And now I get to sleep as long as I want.
Yeah.
And start work whenever I want and run sound whenever I want. And I get to bid on a job saying, hey, I'll take this for this much if you want. But it wasn't easy. Let me just say it that way too. It was not easy, but now it feels great because now I can take on and do work as I please now.
I love that. Yeah.
But believe in yourself to know that it is possible first. And once you understand that, I think you can make anything happen. But that's the biggest thing is you can learn all these tools, but if you don't believe in yourself, you might have the troubles.
I agree 1000%. So yeah, belief, I love all of that. Going back real quick, Eric, to your example of like, I have these skills, how can I package myself and create these different income streams and different opportunities for myself? I thought of a conversation that I had with a Flute 360 listener at the exhibitor booth for Flute 360 in San Antonio. We'll call him Jack. He just moved to Houston. And he was like, I don't know anybody. I don't have a community to plug into. I'm new. How do I build out my studio, my gig schedule? What do I do? Here's your $1 million coaching tip in this episode from me to you. I told him, well, what are your other interests? And he's really come to find out, he's really into baking. He's really into creating pastries and beautiful cookies and cakes. And I said, oh my gosh, well, you're a flute teacher. You love to bake. I would highly recommend that you get plugged into the Houston Flute Club and its society. Because when I first came to Fort Worth, we didn't know anybody back in 2009 in the Fort Worth area. And the minute I got hooked up in Texas Flute Society, my world and my studio and my playing opportunities expanded because of those wonderful men and women in TFS. And at those meetings, I created wonderful relationships. So going back to Jack in Houston, I told him, like, if you don't have a system to plug into or a community to plug into and you want to play more, teach more, create more, how about you offer your services and offer your time and energy to holding a nonprofit organization position in the community and helping out Houston Flute Club? And he's like, oh, I never thought of that before. And I said, what ends up happening then is when you are, say, the festival co-chair, or you're the volunteer coordinator or the competition coordinator, you get to meet other flutists. And they happen to be flutists in the local orchestra, or they happen to be flute teachers in the local school districts. From those conversations, they realize, you like to bake? You play? You teach? Oh, now I'm going to vividly remember Jack because, yeah, he's a performer and teacher just like me, but he creates yummy cookies. Why not then, from those conversations, offer yourself in a unique way? Why, instead of just being another flute teacher saying, hey, do you have a wait list? Could I pick up some extra students from your studio who you can't teach? You can lovingly, in a very genuine way, I'm not saying come in a very sleazy angle and manipulate anybody, but say like, hey, if you're having a flute recital this semester, I don't have any students right now, but I would love to support your flute studio at the end of the spring semester. And can I bring the goodies for the parents and the students to enjoy after the recital?
Mm.
And then when you're standing there over your baked goods of these cookies with maybe icing painted on a little flute or an eighth note or a little rest or a fermata symbol on these sugar cookies, and you're passing them out to the students and the parents, get to know them, that colleague of yours, they're seeing you in your authentic self, supporting them. And then when they have opportunities that they can't take on themselves, they pass them along to you.
Right.
Because they remember your yummy, delicious music sugar cookies.
Right.
And then you've left an impression. Now you're not, back it up. Now you've left an impression. You're not just showing up now as another teacher trying to recruit and trying to grab their wait list kiddos, but you are somebody who's building a very genuine and authentic relationship with this other flute teacher. They remember you because of your cookies and music pastries.
Right.
And then now you've opened up that opportunity to scale that relationship where your colleague will be like, oh yeah, I remember Jack. I can't take you on as a student, but I know you, student little Jane, you will love Mr. Jack. He has cookies and things like that, and his personality and his teaching style would be perfect for you. Go on over to Jack's studio. Or, hey, Jack, I can't play in this local orchestra in this summer July 4th Independence Day concert.
Mm-hmm.
Can you take over my gig?
Right.
Next thing you know, these little breadcrumbs with cookies, these little breadcrumbs add up towards your gingerbread house.
Right.
They start accumulating and they start becoming fruitful opportunities for you because, again, you are volunteering, you're showing up, you're putting out your services in a unique way. It may be music cookies at first, but those music cookies could lead to playing, performing, teaching, workshops, master classes, etc. How cool is that?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to find your zone of genius. You have to find your unique thumbprint. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid if you are cool as a cucumber, meek as a mouse, or very vibrant like a blazing fire, or something in between. You can show up in that way and hone these skills in order to make your flute path that unique and that profitable and fulfilling in all these different ways. Is there anything that you would like to say, Eric, as we wrap up?
No, it's all very personable kind of things that you have to look into and the kinds of things that you have to offer, even if it's baking, maybe even the idea of creating something, knitting, those kinds of things can be small ways to contribute to something bigger.
Yep.
In your search for something to help your talents and your business.
Yep. Do you like to crochet? Do you like to bake? Do you like to hike? Are you into real estate? Yeah. Can you be a flutist at the open house of the house that you're selling?
Right.
And have beautiful music playing in the foyer as you're talking about the house to your customers.
Right.
These families come in looking for a house, but then they hear flute music. Oh, I need a flutist for my wedding.
Yeah.
Oh, I need a flutist for the ceremony.
It's an interesting angle to always play to something that they might not have ever seen before.
Yeah.
And that one thing that is very unique is something that is always memorable.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
People connect with other people who share stories and they're authentic, and those unique qualities are memorable. I love that word. Be memorable, be authentic, and really, not to be cheesy, but the sky's the limit.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, guys, for listening. I hope that this conversation has helped you well. Thank you so much, Eric, for being here. And until next time. Before we close today's episode, I want to remind you of something important. Your flute career doesn't have to follow someone else's script. If you're dreaming of a new project, rebuilding your flute studio, or simply trying to rediscover your musical identity, I'm here to help with more than encouragement. I'll equip you with what you need. Inside the Flute 360 coaching bundle, everything is customized for your season and goals. You might receive a grant writing framework, email copy to announce your next concert, a student onboarding email sequence, or a clean, clear timeline for your course or album launch. But remember, you don't get all the templates. You get the right ones just for you. And I'll be right beside you to guide and cheer you on the whole way. Only 10 flutists will be accepted for this spring and summer. Click the link in the show notes to reserve your bundle before the April 30th deadline. And let's bring your vision to life together.
Let's talk about Flute.